I think I've just discovered the most underrated episode in Are You Afraid of the Dark? And for good reason. Nice! And that is that it comes from season 7. And for those of you who don't know, season 7 and season 6 are the most overlooked seasons of Are You Afraid of the Dark? A lot of people do not know about these seasons because...
Oh, I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning.
because they assume that the quality is extremely bad. By the way, if that bird squawks one more time, it's getting popped. Pete, I hope you're watching. This thing is about to get OG no-scoped in a second. Either way, these seasons are pretty much the most overlooked because a lot of people think that they are of poor quality. So the episode that I'm talking about today is one of those shining hidden diamonds. And a lot of people, in regards to Are You Afraid of the Dark, always talk about the same set of episodes, the same 15 episodes. The joke goes where it's like Laughing in the Dark, Midnight Madness, Dead Man's Float, Ghastly Grinner, dark music. You know, there's more than that, but there's a few episodes that everybody always talks about, the same ones. And yes, some of them are warranted, some of them are extremely high quality and amazing, so it makes sense people talk about them. But there is plenty of other good ones in the show, and that's coming from a guy who's very hard on the show. For those of you who don't know, out of the big 3 shows, Goosebumps, Haunting Hour, and Are You Afraid of the Dark, I've always been the biggest simp of Haunting Hour. And on top of that, I've always loved Goosebumps.
There's no real easy way to say this, but look, you're a simp. I'm gonna have to report you back to Cusco.
But Are You Afraid of the Dark was one that I did not grow up watching. So because I didn't grow up watching that show, I never really took it seriously or cared about it. So because of that, I am quite harsh on the show. But I've learned over time that even though I am harsh on the show, even though I do think that a lot of Are You Afraid of the Dark can kind of be overrated because what people do is, again, they base the entire show off the same 15 episodes, which is not fair. It's got good stuff in there. And in fact, some of the best stuff in Are You Afraid of the Dark is some of the best kids horror media, period. It just is what it is. This is one of those cases. The episode I'm talking about today is The Tale of the Photo Finish. And hopefully by the end of this discussion, when I talk a little bit about the plot and then I go into my thoughts, you guys will understand why I like this one so much, and hopefully a lot of you guys can go check it out. It's free on YouTube. Go look up The Tale of the Photo Finish, go watch it, and I want to see what your guys' thoughts is. But without further ado, let's get into the review.
The Tale of the Photo Finish.
So The Tale of the Photo Finish is about these 2 high school kids named Chandler and Alex. Chandler is a kid who grows up from a rich family. They're wealthy.
I'm rich, bitch!
You know, they've been established and going to this kind of higher class school, this kind of like boarding school, private boys school for a long time. And then you got Alex, and Alex is there with a scholarship. He got a scholarship and he managed to get there. So he comes from a more middle class, kind of lower income family. So him being there is kind of an achievement. Also, by the way, if I keep looking towards the side or whatever, just a little bit of blooper reel. Over on that side, I ended up actually trying to record of my backyard, and as soon as I was recording, right under the deck came out a skunk.
Oh! Why did I jump? Did anybody else jump?
A skunk literally hit me with the bombastic side eye and was checking me out, being like, "Yo, bro, what you doing here?" And I'm like, "Bitch, you don't pay rent. You don't pay rent. I'm about to evict your ass if the fact that you didn't spray ass juices out of your rectum, bro."
Oh yeah.
It is what it is. But I'm just going to be peeping the side to make sure Pepe Le Pew doesn't come back for round 2. Because if he does, wallahi, I'm finished. But anyway, yeah, so these 2 kids are going to this private boys school, and they're trying to get into a club called like the Lions Association, or like the Lions Club. The Lions Association, the club, is a really pretentious, high prestige club. Basically, they only allow rich kids that have been going to those schools for a long time to enter. They all dressed up, they're very posh and pretentious. And Alex doesn't really fit in, and they make it clear to him, they tell him that they have to basically get hazed, and then they have to pull a prank in order to get within this lion association. And what's scary about this lion association is the opening scene is like this hazing scene, and it looks like a satanic cult scene. It looks like some freaking scary ass secret society shit where they're all dressed up in hoods. They all got on these like vendetta plain masks, and they basically have the guys, with their hands tied behind their back, all sitting down blindfolded, and they tell them to eat hog intestines, which turns out to be cherry jelly. But it's a really intense hazing situation, and it looked like some secret society cult shit. So I was like, okay, this episode is clearly going for a darker tone than usually a lot of Are You Afraid of the Dark goes. And as the episode continues, they tell him, like, you have to pull a prank in order to get within our association. And they right away tell Chandler, hey, Alex is not cut out to be here. And they kind of hint it's because he's on a scholarship. He's not really rich and pretentious, and he doesn't fill that type of stereotype that they're looking for. And they tell Chandler, are you serious about getting into the Lion Association? Because if you are, you will tell him yourself that he cannot make it, and you will still go through with joining us, even though that's your best friend that we're rejecting, kind of proving himself that he's loyal in a way as well. And as the story continues, obviously Chandler has to tell Alex. Alex is very disappointed. He gets upset. He feels like he doesn't fit in. And as the story continues, Chandler tries to pull off his prank, and what he decides is he's going to steal the headmaster's portrait that was made back in the 1940s, and then basically take it away as a way to scare the school, and try to place it in some funny place or odd place. And when he takes it and heads away back to his dorm room where Alex sees him, there's a security alarm that goes off that alerts all the staff. So all the staff basically start knocking on dorms, trying to find out who stole this headmaster portrait that's extremely well valued. And as they're searching, all of a sudden something crazy happens. And the crazy thing that happens is that the photo of the headmaster basically slides off, and there ends up being this photo that's tucked away behind the portrait, which is of this old black and white house, or this old black and white kind of like clubhouse building sort of place. And right away they're like, what the hell is this? They don't really understand why they would tuck away this photo behind it. It doesn't really make any sense. But the staff try to knock on their dorm and try to check, and right away, they're trying to figure out how to hide it. They can't slide it under the bed. They can't fit it into the closet because the closet's too stacked. So instead they take out the photo of the headmaster, roll it up, put it in the closet, and then they hang up the photo of this black and white house because the staff aren't going to know what the hell it is. It's tucked away behind it. So the security guard comes in, and he acts like your typical goofy security guard. He's like, what's going on here, folks? He's like mewing and shit. I'm like, what the hell? Back up! That's the one funny part of the episode. And security guard doesn't see anything. He sees the picture of the photo of the house, doesn't think anything of it, and he leaves. And after that happens, all of a sudden, Alex notices something. A boy that's on this photo. He's like in front of the house. He's got like a camera up. He's got like a little, I don't know, like sweater on. And he's posted up in front of the house. Looks like he's taking a picture of the viewer. And right away he's like, hey, who's this kid? Like, they don't really know who it is. And then when he checks again at the photo, the kid is gone. The seat that the kid got up for, he's completely missing from the front porch. And right away he tries to tell Chandler, like, yo, this kid moved, bro. This kid was here and he moved, like he disappeared. And then Chandler's like, bro, you're tripping. There's no kid there. You're hallucinating. And then all of a sudden the kid reappears on the porch, and next thing you know, there's a bright flash, a photo flash that goes off, and you see Chandler, who's in front of the picture, get sucked into the portrait. He gets dragged in there, and all of a sudden Alex, of course, freaks out. He starts panicking and screaming. He tries calling out to the other kids who of course are part of the Lion Association, and when they come out, they obviously don't believe him. It's the typical, you gotta believe me stuff. Not too atrocious though. It's pretty standard for what this episode does. And then he has to try to find out a way to get Chandler out. He knows that there's something off, and maybe this picture has something more than meets the eye going on. So he tries to go to the library and tries to essentially look to see if he can find some historical records or information about the picture, the portrait. He finds out that, the portrait of the headmaster was made in the 1940s. He can't get any information about a house. But then he's approached by this older staff member that you've been seeing appear throughout the episode. Like, he keeps appearing in the hallways and stuff. And this staff member basically tells him, like, I know about that photo. And Alex is like, no, you're not going to even believe what I got to tell you. Like, don't even waste your breath. But he's like, no, trust me, I will believe you. And then he's like, well, what do you expect? Like, what do you think that I'm going to be believing you with? And he's like, well, maybe that your friend got sucked into a photo. And he's like, whoa, how do you know that? You know about the photo sucking thing? And he's like, yes, because it happened to me in the past. So because it happened to him in the past, you all of a sudden find out this backstory and the origin of the house, which is that the kid in the photo with the camera happened to be a member, or was going to be a future member of the Lion Association back in like the 1940s or back in the day. And what ended up happening was he had also been there off of a scholarship. He did not have a rich family. He did not have the family name to get him in there. So the kids were basically pranking him the exact same way, parallel to Alex, where they're trying to tell him that we're going to take you in to the Lion Association, but they were never going to. They just did it as a way to kind of like prank him. And what ended up happening was the kid ended up becoming so upset, so distraught, that he ended up running away out of frustration and anger. He felt so betrayed. And when that happened, all the Lion Association members started chasing him, making fun of his clothes, harassing him and stuff, because, again, he was a lower income kid. And he eventually got to the rooftop of the building, the clubhouse, or wherever he was at. And he ended up falling off the building. And he ended up falling to his death. He died. And when that happened, the staff member that's talking to Alex was his best friend. His best friend was in the same situation as Chandler, where he was going to get accepted into the Lion Association. He thought that his friend would get in. Turns out, no. They only wanted him. They didn't want his friend. So he ended up losing his best friend that day. And 2 months later, this black and white photo of the house appeared, and the guy ended up witnessing that 2 kids got dragged in to the photo. 2 Lion members ended up getting dragged inside of this photo, and they ended up going missing. So he realizes that, there's something haunted about this photo, and that's when Alex and the staff member basically realize, all right, we got to do something. We got to get our heads together, and we got to find out a way to get rid of this photo before any more kids end up becoming victimized by it. And that's essentially the plot without me giving too much away. So, what would I overall think about this episode? This episode is very sinister and it's very dark, and I love that about this episode. This episode takes a lot darker approach, and I think that actually helps it out. It again reminds me of Goosebumps, The Haunted School. If you've read that book, this has got a similar feeling to that. It deals with a class back, many years ago, people getting dragged in through a photograph, which, if you read The Haunted School, if you know, you know. And even the black and white filter is very much similar to the what they did with The Haunted School. So I assume that if The Haunted School came out before this episode, which I believe it did, I'm not sure, but if it did, then I think that this episode was definitely inspired, in a good way though. I like the sinister urban legend about, the origin story about how this kid basically tried to get into the Lion Association. He ended up didn't getting it because of his social class. They made fun of him because they were richer and more well-off than him, and he ended up getting so distraught that since they were harassing and pranking him, he ended up falling to his death. That's really dark, and this whole episode has that commentary about social class, talking about how, you shouldn't judge people, you shouldn't treat people differently because of their backgrounds. That's not fair. It's a very corny message overall when you think about it, because it's been so overplayed, but the way they implement it in the episode is pretty smart and well done, so I like it for that. And I like the characters of Chandler and Alex. Alex, actor, does a pretty good job. He's a believable, likable, charming kid, and you very much root for him. And Chandler, I like his performance in this episode as well. And funny enough, I think Chandler is played by Patrick Thomas, who featured in another Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, but it was a season 6 episode called The Tale of the Gruesome Gourmets.
Literal doo-doo water? Literal doo-doo water.
Yeah, for any of you who know about The Tale of the Gruesome Gourmets.
Oh my god.
If you know, you know. That episode blows fucking chunks. That episode sucks ass.
Boy, have you lost your mind? Because I'll help you find it. What you're looking for, ain't nobody gonna help you out there. Jesus can come through that door.
But, you know, the fact that Patrick Thomas returned in this episode is a huge improvement. He's in a way better episode, and he really gets to show his acting chops in this one. So I like Chandler and Baker. Talking about the author that I read for a Creature Feature Amazon collection. Chandler and Alex are really good. So I like their characters, and I like that urban legend. And when you actually get to the climax, you know, when you get to the effects of people getting dragged into the photographs, it's actually pretty good. They're not bad special effects. They're pretty good special effects. I would think so. Them getting dragged inside of these photographs, very haunting. It's very ominous. And when you get to the climax, it's pretty creepy, man. It's pretty scary. You find out that the villain is a lot more sinister than you would believe. And this is a vengeful spirit episode. This is not a sympathetic, emotional ghost episode, which I get so sick of those in Are You Afraid of the Dark? Because every character has to be humanized. Every villain has to have some type of redemption. And oh, the ghost was misunderstood. Oh, people made up something. Oh, they're actually a good person. That gets so overdone and so overplayed that I get sick of it. You know, it's only really good in like something like Shiny Red Bicycle and a few other ones. But outside of that, you know, nah. But here, there's just a vengeful spirit. There is no redemption. You don't have to worry about a sympathetic, emotional ghost. No, it's a dangerous guy. It's a lethal guy, and you know, you very much see this sort of Joker, not really school shooter, but kind of like that type of, you know, angsty, vengeful kid kind of personality. And they have a genuine threat level. The stuff that this kid and villain does in this episode is very threatening. So I can very much appreciate that. So yeah, overall, I'd probably give this episode, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'd probably give this episode a 9 out of 10. So this episode, potentially, I don't know, I might boost it up. Maybe I might boost it up. You know what? I'm actually gonna boost this. So I'm gonna give this a 9.2 out of 10. So that way this episode can enter within my top 10. So that's right. The Tale of the Photo Finish gets a 9.2 out of 10, which means it's a great episode, and it's probably one of the best kids horror episodes out there. And this episode, if you wanted the closest adaptation to Goosebumps to Haunted School, this is the closest adaptation you could get to that. Some of the things involving them are very similar, and it's still different enough that you will enjoy this for what it is. So yeah, 9.2 out of 10. This episode is in my top 10 favorite Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes, and it's definitely a heavy hitter for the kids horror media genre. And that's all I got for today. Again, this episode is on YouTube, so please go check it out. Please go watch it. I think it'll be 100% worth your time. So go watch it. Go see for yourself. Let me know your thoughts down below. How do you feel about it? If you've seen it below, you know, before, if you've not seen it and you just watched it, let me know what you feel about it. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? And of course, my name is the Horror Lander. I'm your #1 favorite horror hero. This video was brought to you by Broad Studios, aka Brokebot Studios. Make sure, as a way to support me, if you like my content, if you like what I do and you want to support it for the future, you can do 3 things. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that post notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. And check out some of my older content that I got. This whole month of August, I've been doing back to school kids horror episodes. So if you guys like that type of stuff, you'll find it down below. And let me know some other episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark that you want me to review in the future, and I will go check them out. Or what do you think is the most underrated episode in Are You Afraid of the Dark? And I will check it out and review it. And that's all I got. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have a nice day. It's a beautiful day over here. Hope you're having a beautiful and wonderful day over there. I just woke up and I did deal with that skunk jump scare, so I am a little bit all over the place. So forgive me. But yeah. Hope you guys have a nice day, and please consider subscribing. Thank you so much. Deuces. Ba-dum-bum. The end.
Bye, have a great time.